This new plugin can take your samples from this to this. All right, guys, I am so excited about our brand new granulizer plugin, Dark Sky. So this plugin actually was originally inspired by a piece of hardware called the Microcosm. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard people do the craziest things with that piece of hardware. And one thing we loved about it was how it took little samples and just turned it into a crazy dreamlike texture. And that's exactly what this plugin is designed to do. It'll take any sample and immediately add emotion and really a lot of like crazy texture to it. All right, guys, so I'm gonna actually show you what these 6 knobs do on Dark Sky and how you can actually fine tune the sound design into a bunch of different crazy areas. So the first thing I want to talk about is this number value right here. It starts at 100% and you can dial it back. And as you can see, the little visualizer in the middle actually represents how many grains it's taking from the sample, because you can think of this plugin as taking little bits, and I'm about to show you, little bits of the audio and re-sprinkling them back in randomly. So when you have this number low, and let's say I turn the mix to 100 and I'll turn the feedback up, you can actually hear it. You hear these little bits, right? And as I increase the number, you can hear a lot more of these little bits of audio. And as I dial back the mix, you start to hear the original sound fused with it, and that's where this plugin gets a lot of its life and its characters, in those random bits being sprinkled back in. So the numbers are one thing you want to play with. If you want really that choppy, glitchy sound, if you put at a very low grain count, you'll get that. And then also the size will increase the size of the grains, right? So think about these little bits of audio being very small, but if you increase the size, it'll layer back in bigger bits. So I will actually increase the size here so you can hear it. So now you can hear big bits of audio being sprinkled back in, and that's really what the size knob does. And you can play with these two values. To land in some really interesting places. The next thing I want to talk about is speed, which is really dictating how fast those little bits of audio are playing back. When this speed is actually at 1, it's essentially playing back at the same speed that the samples originally played at. But if I move it up to 2 times the speed, it's actually going to play twice as fast, which will also cause it to go up 1 octave. So let me show you. This could be really cool for adding that high-end sparkle to your sound. And one really cool trick, if you actually take this speed to negative, so if you take it, let's say the -1, it'll do the exact same effect and pitch as positive 1-time speed, but the difference is that all the grains are now reversed. So imagine each little audio bit is actually playing in reverse. And it'll just give it a different texture that I really like. And then if you go 2 times backwards negative, you'll still get that high-end sparkle, but now they're playing essentially all in reverse. So now that you know what those 3 are, let's go over to the right side. The next thing we want to talk about is the detuned. As you turn up the detune, you'll actually see these other colors come in that just represents the detune effect coming into play. And what this does is this randomly slightly detunes some of those grains. And a lot of times that little bit of detuning can actually make it sound good. Let me show you. A little bit of light detuning can always make a sound really good, okay? So definitely play with that. Then you got feedback over here, and feedback is essentially how long do these little grains play about, right? So as you turn it up, you'll see on the visual, those little dots kind of represent how long that sample's bouncing for, right? So if I turn it up to 100, it's essentially, this sample will turn into like a big puddle of crazy morphing sound. Let me just show you real quick. So even when I click stop, it's just going to keep running, right? So the sound is feeding back into itself. And then if you turn this down, you're essentially getting a much shorter delay time on those grains. And then the mix knob is just a basic mix knob, you know, 0%. You're getting no effect from dark sky, and at 100%, you're getting none of the original signal, and you're only getting the dark sky process signal. A lot of times I like to design with 100% mix on and then dial back to probably about 40 to 60%. But honestly, 100% gets you some crazy outcomes, because then you're just getting just the granulizer effect and none of the original sound, and you get some weird places. So as you can see here, you can really dial in on this granulizer effect and have a lot of fun with it. And the visualizer, I think, makes it really easy to kind of conceptualize what's actually happening with these grains. And honestly, this is a great plugin for taking any sort of sound, and the second you use it, you immediately have infinite combinations of new textures and new emotions and new feels to it. Anyways, I want to show you more of what this thing can really do by diving into the 50 presets that are included with it. For this example, I actually want to take a raw basic serum sound. And I'm actually going to take a MIDI file from the Dark Sky sample bundle. So right there, I just have a super raw, basic sound. But now let me put in Dark Sky, and I'm going to flip through the presets here. All right, we got another sound I want to apply some random presets to. Ooh, this is a cool sound. That's just magic. That's fucking magic right there. As you can see, when you really apply the right types of sounds to Dark Sky, because certain sounds work better with it, you can get these very lush and just beautiful outcomes that are actually really, really cool. All right, so now I want to talk about the Dark Sky sample bundle and how it really pairs perfectly for Dark Sky. So what we did was, one of our top producers, Nick, who's actually the lead designer on this plugin, we went back to essentially every single production suite Cymatics has had, and we grabbed specific vocal loops, melodies, stem layers, MIDI files, as well as melodic one-shots that pair really great with Dark Sky. So right when you get this plugin, you're actually going to have 5 brand new exclusive sample packs that are personally curated to have the right types of things to really get rolling with Dark Sky and play around with some cool stuff. So in here, you have really cool one-shots. So something like this, you can take this one shot and you can essentially put Dark Sky on it. And immediately, the one shot has so much more character to it, like right away. That sounds amazing. See, as you can see, each one shot sounds pretty different when you have different presets with it. Another thing you can do is drag in different one shots. So if I have something like this, you essentially can go through all of these and have so many different ways to use them and create new cool original sounds for yourself. If you prefer writing or you just want to play along to the melodies, it can be a really powerful sound design tool right out of the box. It can even take something as basic as FL keys. And if you turn on Dark Sky, just so much emotion is immediately added. And that's just one preset. Basic VSTs, basic plugins, basic sounds have so much life to them. And you can get in some really cool places. Honestly, this is for the type of producer who likes to design their own sounds, who likes to take melodies and different sounds into cool, interesting places, and honestly likes to push the limits on sound design to help really defy their unique sound. And this can be really helpful for producers, not only trying to get their unique sound, but trying to improve their mixes. A lot of people's mixes are too dry and don't have enough weirdness in them, right? And I think a lot of the top producers find cool ways to use different hardware and stuff to really change up their sound and add in a little bit of imperfection. And I think this plugin does a really great job of helping you with that. All right, so last thing I want to talk about in this video is really using Dark Sky in combination with other plugins. So I'm going to play the sound. It might take Memory, one of our other plugins. I might take Illusion. It's already got some weirdness in it. EQ. And then something like this, then put it into dark sky. And now I got this like pad out of nowhere, right? Like think about it. This was like a full melody loop, and you can take it and essentially add all these weird textures and layers and start playing with the combinations. One thing I like to do is make a weird version, put a new version onto a new mixer track, so you have like essentially only one layer being affected by dark sky. So now I have the original melody and that crazy layer we just made. Does some really cool stuff. One last thing I suggest playing around with is actually the vocal loop collection. So if you put dark sky on vocal loops, you can do some really cool stuff with it. Yeah, and the whole thing is that this plugin can do everything from giving you really crazy, trippy sounds that you can apply to a lot of different layers that you have to add crazy texture. But it can also, if you jack up the size and the number of grains, you can create this very lush reverb that actually sounds really great. It's a really nice, customized reverb based on what you're doing, and it just sounds really good. So this thing has a lot of versatility. It does a lot of cool stuff. And if you're looking for that thing that you can add to any one of your sounds, any one of your melodies, and just instantly go to an infinite amount of new places, I think this plugin you're going to have a lot of fun with. Last thing is, if you click on the link in the description, we're running a special limited time offer. That's where you can get Dark Sky plus this entire Dark Sky sample bundle, which includes 5 exclusive sample packs for a special deal. So if you don't want to miss out on that, make sure you check that out in the link in the description. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this plugin. I know you're going to have a lot of fun with it.